the conversation you've been wanting to have may have already been on the table. The funny thing about us humans is that we don't really communicate the best. We almost have this tendency to assume that people see things exactly as we do, or they actually have the same understanding that we do, at least at times. Now, sometimes it does come naturally to us that we do see things differently, that everybody has their own unique perspective, but oftentimes we don't really see that in the day to day. So we don't often communicate our expectations or our perspective with people. And so there are conversations that we just leave without ever mentioning them or whatever. And so we just don't have them. But oftentimes another person may be ready to have it. It's like a couple that realizes that there are both issues in the relationships. Again, like every romantic story has that moment near the end where there's a misunderstanding, and it's only by actually taking the time to communicate with each other that they can realize it was all a misunderstanding and that they actually do love each other. So then couples in real life can have that situation where there is kind of these issues arising and they can have a conversation sorted out. But yet, oftentimes, there's only a point that they want to go to. They don't want to have the full conversation. For example, both to be recognizing issues in relationships. Whereas one is like, oh, you're always working, you're basically a workaholic, so we never have time for each other. And then the other person is like, yes, but I have a schedule, and every time I'm free, you're either shopping or with your friends. So again, they might both be doing something wrong, but they aren't really seeing that they both could change. They could both adapt to what is going on. And another thing we can think of is when we're working with a team, whereas one teammate can be like, oh, other people aren't pulling their weight and so forth. And then someone else may call them out for not doing what they're supposed to do or what they think they're supposed to do in the ads. And then the person is like, no, it's your problem, clearly. And it's just sort of one of those things where it's like, again, people have different expectations, different perspectives, and so forth. But again, they might only want to have the conversation when they can be like assured that they are in the right, when it's affecting them. And I think that's the key, in that most of these conversations that we want to have may have been left on the table for a long time by someone else. They may have seen things that have been going on but haven't brought it up, or they may have been bringing it up, but yet they may have been yelled at. They may have been accused of being wrong. They may have been called out for just seeing things and so forth, or making mountains out of molehills or whatever. But at the moment those issues affect someone else, the moment that person realizes that, wait, something's going on here, they may want to have that conversation. But yet, when they do, it may be to that point where it's like, oh, only when it affects me, or only when it makes me feel bad, or whatever. It's never about, okay, you've seen this thing, and I clearly agree with you that there is something wrong now. And then there is something like, yes, you have the agreement, but sometimes if that person has been the one yelling and mocking at them, they may need to be a sorry, I was wrong, you were right. Like three of the hardest words or hardest phrases to use in the English language. But it's just one of those things that you may have to actually be willing to admit you are wrong to actually have the conversation you want to have. Otherwise, the person may be done. They may have been willing to reason with you. They may have been willing to have that conversation with you. But if you have had a bad attitude with them or treated them wrong, then they may have taken their ball and gone home.